right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. So glad to have you here. If you watched last week's episode, you know that we took a deep dive into why exactly it was that Kamala Harris lost the election, because it seemed as though a good section of our population was perplexed by this. So that video was for them. However, this week, this video is for us, the people who are excited about Trump's victory. I want to talk about what we can hope for, what we can look forward to, the things that we are wanting to come out of this administration, and hopefully, actually, some of that can set some people's minds at ease, because there are still people who are afraid that he's going to be Hitlerian, that he's going to take away everyone's rights, yada, yada, this, that, the other. So let's just talk about all of it. But before we get into any of that, this is your reminder to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure you leave me a rating and a review over there. All of these things really do help me out. It doesn't cost you anything, and it means everything to me. All of my other social medias are linked down below, as always. And without any further ado, my name is Noelle. This is Just Say No. Let's dive right in. Okay, so before we get into any of that, I do want to say that while it is very exciting to have Trump back in office and that he won, I don't want us to backslide and lose the governmental skepticism that we have gained over the last 4 years. I think, generally speaking, having a certain amount of skepticism and questioning demeanor towards our government is a good thing. We should never take anything that they say at face value, no matter who is in charge of it, Donald Trump or baby Jesus. It does not matter. I think that questioning our government is good all the time. So just because we currently have somebody who offers some hope in charge, I don't want us to then think that we can trust the government, because I feel like we have gotten to a good place of really being skeptical of the things that the government tries to tell us and sell to us. And we should keep that going. Okay, but let's get into the proposed Trump agenda. I want to start off by looking and watching some videos that he has released, because let's get this stuff straight from the horse's mouth. And then after that, we will look at his website, look at the things that he has outlined, how much of that has been addressed in these videos, and just kind of get a sense for the direction he is wanting to go. We'll discuss some of the appointments that he has already made, and yeah, let's dive right in.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case, because they've taken it away. In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from election.
Okay, so I do think it is worth mentioning at this point that these videos are not actually new. They have been, I think, on his website for well over a year now. So I presume that what he's referring to here is the release of the Twitter files, which, if you are unfamiliar, is when Elon Musk bought Twitter and they went through the inner workings of whatever the other side of a website is called, and discovered all of the communications with the Biden administration, the FBI, talking about censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story, this, that, the other, taking down accounts that didn't agree based off of, or that didn't agree with COVID narratives. All of this, that is what he is referring to here. That was bad. That should never have happened, and it should be prevented from happening again in the future.
Actions to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately. And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens.
And what's crazy is it is illegal for the federal government to censor American citizens, right? That's our First Amendment. And so the loophole that they have found around this is by colluding with private organizations like Twitter. And that's why it was kind of a weird new zone for the Biden administration to be working directly with Twitter to censor certain stories and certain people, because the government is able to say, hey, we're not the ones directly doing it. We're just, puppeteering the whole thing. But so this is excellent because it should be absolutely illegal. What they did should absolutely be illegal.
I will then ban federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis or disinformation. And I will begin the process.
Keyword there is domestic. I can already hear people saying Russia disinformation. Russia, he's doing this so that Russia can build domestic, babe.
Of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly, whether they are the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI, the DOJ, no matter who they are. Second, I will order the Department of Justice to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified. These include possible violations of federal civil rights law, campaign finance laws, federal election law, securities law, and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses.
So what's interesting about that is obviously I make content online as my little side hustle here, and 100% there's strong censorship. I will say maybe it's because I haven't been posting online so much about the tranny shit, and that's why I'm not getting censored as heavily. But there are certain topics that you absolutely cannot discuss without your videos getting taken down. And so anything that stops that from happening, I am fully in favor of. The online sphere should be treated as a public square. Hate speech cannot be allowed to become a crime because it's subjective. It is far too subjective. And so...
To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters, and we have to do this right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship. Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising Section 230 to get big online platforms out of censorship business. From now on, digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination.
This is something that people have been moving for quite a long time. If you are unfamiliar, Section 230 is the thing that protects, say, Facebook from being sued or being held liable because they are a platform, not a publisher. So they don't approve the things that are posted. They just platform it. And so if somebody were to post something that caused a riot or caused harm to somebody, Facebook themselves cannot be held liable for that. What Trump is proposing, what people have been proposing for quite some time, is that they should only be allowed to have these exemptions and not be held liable so long as they are not censoring random ass shit. That isn't actually random whatsoever. It's all one-sided. But absolutely, because here's the thing is, if you are censoring stories about, say, COVID back in 2020, you're now acting like a publisher. You are now deciding what kind of content is or is not allowed onto your site. Therefore, 230 does not even apply to you because you're not a platform, you are acting as a publisher. So this is so logical.
We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation, promoting terrorism, while dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech. Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called mis- and disinformation. The federal government should immediately stop funding all nonprofits and academic programs that support this authoritarian project. If any U.S. university is discovered to have engaged in censorship activities or election interferences in the past, such as flagging social media content for removal of blacklisting, those universities should lose federal research dollars and federal student loan support for a period of 5 years and maybe more. We should also enact new laws laying out clear criminal penalties for federal bureaucrats who partner with private entities to do an end run around the Constitution and deprive Americans of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. In other words, deprive them of their vote. And once you lose those elections, and once you lose your borders like we have, you no longer have a country. Furthermore, to confront the problems of major platforms being infiltrated by legions of former deep staters and intelligence officials, there should be a 7-year cooling-off period before any employee of the FBI, CIA, NSA, DNI, DHS, or DOD is allowed to take a job at a company possessing vast quantities of U.S. user data. Fifth, the time.
So that one is particularly interesting because it kind of underlies a separate law that I don't think would be included in this. Maybe he'll address this later. I don't know if he already has, or maybe this is something that will fall under RFK Jr.'s scope. But in the similar sense of what he just described of all of these agencies not being able to work for companies that have user data for a period of time, there also needs to be a period of time, that period of time potentially being forever, where somebody who works for the FDA can then go work for Pfizer. Because that is a conflict of interest, is it not? So I hope that logic carries over to those departments as well.
Time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter. Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should have the right to be informed that it's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal.
Y'all, I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The amount of times that I have had content removed and all it says is community guidelines violation. Bitch, what does that mean? Did I hurt your feelings? Why did you remove my video? Please.
In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose. The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole
Let me take a guess. The left response to this is going to be that he wants to remove guardrails for people correcting the false information and lies that he spews. I bet that will be the twist on this. And if that's your takeaway from this, you truly hate free speech. I'm sorry, but he's sitting here saying that all speech should be allowed. Americans should be allowed to decide for themselves, figure out for themselves what is true, what is not. We do not need the government to say, Sweetheart, this isn't real. Sweetheart. If they're going to fall for it, they're going to fall for it. That's on them. But as I said at the top of the episode, government skepticism is important. So I'm pretty skeptical of when the government tells me not to believe something. So excellent. All right, so that is a lot of really fun stuff. That is just one video that he put out. Again, this is probably going to be a longer episode because I do want to look at quite a few videos because I want people to truly understand exactly what it is that Trump is trying to accomplish here. So the next one that we are going to look at scares me a little bit more, not because I disagree with what he's saying in the video, but because this is the type of thing that gets him shot at. This is the type of thing that is at the core of why the establishment hates him. Roll the clip.
I plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all, and corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors.
So here's the thing is people are on the left are gonna hate that because they're gonna say it's giving Hitler. But I don't think that people understand what a bureaucrat is. A bureaucrat is somebody who is in government and was unelected. Like the whole point of Hitler is to subvert democracy. The whole point of democracy is that the people elect someone to represent them within the government. Bureaucrat doesn't do that. 99% of them are just a waste of taxpayer money. So off with their heads. Okay, metaphorically.
In our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant application.
This has absolutely everything to do with Hillary Clinton spying on his campaign. Just so we know. But it is valid.
So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption.
I wonder if that goes for... Hi, Kitty. Do you want to say hi? Say hi, Kitty. Say hi, Salem. Say hi. Come on. I wonder if that applies to JFK and Epstein. Release the files. Release them. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this video and I heard like Truth and whatever commission, at first I was like, hell nah. Hell nah. But then he's like, to release these declassified files. I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
There are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. If possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign.
You have to be careful with the disinformation campaign, right? Because then we just say that we're not going to do that kind of stuff. Now, I guess there is a difference between an American citizen and the government putting out information, but that is something that you have to handle cautiously.
Campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside
I love
the
this.
Washington swamp. Just as
There's no reason why everything should be in one spot. There just isn't. Like, Department of Agriculture, that should be somewhere where there's agriculture, should it not? And I just feel like if it's all sprawled out, it like decreases the potential for corruption. Maybe that's wishful and maybe that's like diluted. I will own that. But I do like the idea of separating it all out.
move the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate.
Okay, this is the FDA thing.
So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't
Yep,
work
that's the
that way.
FDA thing.
Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will
See?
push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state.
So term limits, I was on the fence for term limits for a really long time because on the opposite side of it, you could potentially lose good people too. Like if you had a really good congressman and you didn't want him to be termed out, then that would suck. But Nancy Pelosi would have been gone so long by now. And term limits, it's hard to, I think it thwarts the corruption a little bit, because if you're constantly worrying about re-election and constantly worrying about appeasing your donors and this, that, the other, you're not worried about the American people, you're worried about making money. I think that the pros outweigh the cons on that. I really do. But once again, there's a lot of really good stuff in there. I hope that he is able to accomplish much of it. The deep state has to go. It has to be as overused as it is, the swamp has got to get drained. Okay, so next I want to look at his plan for the education system, because this is probably top 3 things that they are bitching and moaning about. So once again, let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
The United States spends more money on education than any other country in the world, and yet we get the worst outcomes. We're at the bottom of every list. In total, American society pours more than $1 trillion a year into public education systems. But instead of being at the top of the list, we are literally right smack, guess what, at the bottom. Rather than indoctrinating young people with inappropriate racial, sexual, and political material, which is what we're doing now, our schools must be totally refocused to prepare our children to succeed in the world of work and in life and the world of keeping our country strong, so they can grow up to be happy, prosperous, and independent citizens. We owe our children great schools that lead to great jobs and leads to an even greater country that we're living in right now. Right now, we're living in a failing nation because of Joe Biden and these people running it. They're Marxists, they're communists. What they're doing to our country is incredible, but we'll take care of that for our children. Here are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to
You know, what's crazy, really quick, I just must interject this thought. I had no idea these videos were on his website. They've been on his website this whole time. So when he faltered on, I think it was during the debate with Kamala Harris, you know, the whole, like, I have concepts of a plan thing. He has outlined his plan in great detail for every single thing on his website. And none of us knew. So that's on us.
control the education of their children. Second, we will empower parents and local school board to hire and reward great principals and teachers, and also to fire the poor ones, the one whose performance is unsatisfactory. They will be fired. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. Third, we will ensure our classrooms are focused not on political indoctrination, but on teaching the knowledge and skills needed to succeed. Reading, writing, math, science, arithmetic, and other truly useful subjects.
It's insane to me. Like, it's actually insane to me that people are upset by this. Particularly because it's pretty inferred that if we're talking about teaching how to read, write, and do math, like, we're primarily focusing here, right, on elementary and middle schoolers. By the time you get to high school, you should have these skills, and now we're talking more about how to refine them. Yeah, we shouldn't be talking about critical race theory. We shouldn't be talking about gender theory and pronouns in those years at school, because guess what? These kids can't read and write. Like, how is this controversial? How, bro, y'all are so wrong about this. You are so wrong about this if you are on the other side. I'm sorry.
Fourth, we will teach students to love their country, not to hate their country like they're taught right now. Fifth, we will support bringing back prayer to our schools. Sixth, we will achieve schools that are safe.
Okay, so that is something that people are very, very upset about. All he is talking about is having the right to pray in school. He is not saying that it's mandated that schools are going to have to pray. He's just saying it's allowed.
Secure and drug-free, with immediate expulsion for any student who harms a teacher or another student. Seventh, we will give all parents the right to choose another school for their children if they want. School choice. We will ensure students have access to project-based learning experiences inside the classroom to help train them for meaningful work outside the classroom. Ninth, we will strive to give all students access to internships and work experiences that can set them on a path to their first job. They're going to be very, very successful. I want them to be more successful than Trump. Let them go out and be more successful. I will be the happiest person in the world. But we want our children to have a great life and be successful. And 10th, we will ensure that all schools provide excellent jobs and career counseling so that high school and college students can get a head start on jobs and careers best suited to their God-given talents. This is how we will ensure a great education for every American child. And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And obviously people are very upset about ending the Department of Education. People are upset about ending the Department of Education as if it's something that we've always had. It was created in 1979, y'all. Like, it's not a historic institution. We used to do just fine without it. Really quick, let's go over what the responsibilities of the Department of Education is. Establishing and distributing federal financial aid for education. This, I assume, is something that would be put into a different department or put down to the state level where administrators could work with someone in the federal government, because obviously it's not working that good at a federal level. Most things don't. Collecting data on schools. Yeah, we don't need a whole department for this. We don't need that. Disseminating research, focusing attention on educational issues, prohibiting discrimination, enforcing federal education laws. Yeah, we don't need any of that. All of that can be figured out how to be done without the Department of Education. Because I don't think you guys understand. The Department of Education is a behemoth and it doesn't work. And obviously, it's not doing us any good, because our test scores are getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And it's like what Trump said, it can't get any worse. We're already at the bottom. So might as well try something new. Your local community knows better what your needs are than your federal government. A local community is going to know better what the needs of their kids are than the federal government is. Y'all, do it. Do it. Ixnay, get rid of it. Okay, so that is it for the videos that I want to watch. Let's take a look at his website and see what we see. Okay, so let's go through this list really quick, and then I'm gonna we'll walk through his Agenda 47, because I want people to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, right? Like, this is the proposed agenda. This is what we're trying to get done. Stop listening to MSNBC. Okay. Seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Yes, please. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. Unfortunately, this does need to happen, right? I mean, so many people have come into this country illegally. So many people are coming into this country and harming American citizens. This is something that needs to happen because of what the Biden-Harris administration did. So if you are upset that there has to be a deportation operation, look no further than your current president and vice president, ladies and gentlemen, because it is their fault. End inflation and make America affordable again. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Large tax cut for workers and no tax on tips. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Big fan of that, because more and more countries are getting missiles, getting better military technology, and we do need something Iron Dome-esque to protect us. Big fan of that. End the weaponization of government against the American people. Okay, so for all of the people who were saying that he's going to sick the military on people, y'all are so stupid. I am sorry. After I film, I often tell myself, Noelle, you could really be a lot nicer. I could be a lot nicer. But then I see the shit people say, and it's hard. Y'all, you really do be testing my patience, because you're stupid. Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it, without question, the strongest and most powerful in the world. This one's really important, because while I have become more and more anti-war, like perhaps on an extreme level, having a strong military is undoubtedly necessary. You lead through strength. People don't want to poke the big bear. Keep the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. That's a big task. Hope we accomplish it. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Again, like, the fact that people are so scared. He's gonna end Medicare. He's gonna end Social Security. He's gonna raise the retirement. I just, it's one of those things. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly burdensome regulations. Excellent. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Hell yeah. Keep men out of women's sports. I love that just gets to something all on its own. Absolutely. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. I obviously don't agree with that one, and I think that one is very hyperbolic. The obvious exception is if they are here illegally, if they are Islam radicalists who are here illegally, obviously get them out. But if they are Hamas indoctrinated American citizen college students, unfortunately, we must keep them. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. I have a proposal here myself. Maybe someone can help me out in the comments. What I don't understand about mail-in voting is why, like, there should be, if your vote arrives after election day, like if you put your ballot in the mail like 2 days before the election and it doesn't arrive on time, like that's your fault and your vote deserves to not be counted. We should have results day of. The fact that it is currently a week and a day after the election as I'm filming this right now, and California still be counting. So what, this should not be something that happens. It's insane. And number 20, unite our country by bringing it new and record levels of success. So then if you click read more about the Trump Republican Party, all of those things we just went through right here, okay? And it goes through in more detail what each one outlines. So we're not going to go through this today because it's not that long. It's 16 pages long. Hypothetically, we could. I just don't think people are going to be into it. So here it is. You're free to read it. Nothing crazy or scary in there. Go read it. Now that we have gone through a pretty good general sense of what he is shooting for and aiming for, let's hold him accountable, okay? Let's hold him to the standard that he has set. If he starts putting neocons in charge of cabinet positions, let's call him out for that, because that's the opposite direction of where we're wanting to go. So he has set the standard. Let's hold him to it. Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump is just a man. He is not our savior, and he is fallible. So as his voters, as his constituency, we have to know when he is straying far away from the thing and reason that he was elected for. But as for early appointments, he appointed Susie Wiles to be his chief of staff. She is the first female chief of staff in American history, but y'all won't hear about that because he's a misogynist. One thing that is exciting is he did announce that Mike Pompeo and Nikki Haley are out. They will not be in the administration. This is fantastic. They are both war hawks. I mean, Nikki Haley was signing missiles in Israel, for God's sakes. Like, that's support Israel or not, signing missiles that are going to go kill people, presumably a ton of innocent people. That's crazy. It's just a little bit crazy. He has also appointed Tom Homan as the border czar, which is another very exciting appointment. He has gone viral in the past for giving it to AOC. Check out this clip.
Was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
And that is precisely the type of person I think that we want to be in charge of the border, somebody who's not afraid of telling it as it is. I believe at one point, I don't know who he was talking to, but somebody said, "Are you going to separate families through deportation?" And his response was, "No, we don't have to separate them. We can deport them all." So love it. Love to see it. Another exciting appointment that happened yesterday, or maybe it was today, is Pete Hegseth as our Secretary of Defense. Now, what's interesting about Pete is everyone online is going crazy because he's a Fox host, and Trump is a clown and this is a clown show administration. He just appointed a Fox News host. He is a 20-year decorated war veteran. First of all, he also has a degree from, I know he has one from Harvard and another one from somewhere else. Forgive me, off the top of my head, I can't recall. So to pretend like he is just a Fox News host is so unbelievably dishonest. Should that surprise me? No, of course it shouldn't. This is precisely the thing that they do. But it is a little bit shocking because it's just so easily verifiably false. But they can't help themselves. They just can't fucking help themselves. So that's exciting. By far the most exciting thing that they have announced is the official launch of the Department of Government Efficiency to be led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. So that's incredibly exciting. And what's really exciting about that is he specifically said that they are to be not part of the government per se. They are advisors to the government on specific things with an end date of July 4th, 2026 as a 250th birthday present to the United States. And it's just funny because people like Harry Sisson, we all know how much I love him, went on a tirade saying how Trump's plan is to downsize the government by creating another branch of government. And it's like, oh my God, are you fucking retarded? He literally said that they're not part of the government. First of all. Second of all, they have an end date, like a specific end date. But again, it is these people's jobs to be dishonest. So what else are we to expect? One last thing that I want to touch on, just a hope of mine, is Trump had 2 or 3 Supreme Court appointments in his first term, and it is looking like he could have at least one more, maybe 2. Clarence Thomas is, I believe, 76 or 74. He's somewhere in his 70s. And it is a strong possibility that he will retire under Trump so that Trump can have that appointment. And the thing is Justice Alito is not much younger than Thomas. So there is a chance that both of them could retire. I think it's a little bit more far-fetched that Alito will, but we will see. And that would ensure conservative stronghold on the Supreme Court for at least, 40 years, 30 years. And so that is just overall a good thing. We will see what happens, though. Hopefully this was a good overview of the upcoming Trump presidency. I didn't do too much of it. It was all straight from the horse's mouth. If you have more questions, I showed you exactly where on his website you can go get those answers. And it all comes down to what he's able to get through. We do have the majority in the Senate and in the House. That said, some of these people that are claiming to be Republican aren't so down for the mission. So we could still very well have a hard time getting things passed. I hope that it's reached a point where we just got to get this shit done. But the problem is, since it's like the exact type of thing that we are trying to fight against, the establishment, the deep state, is the exact thing that people like Mitt Romney, who would presumably vote against things that Trump is trying to propose, are a part of. Mitt Romney, establishment, deep state, this is all one. This is all one thing. So of course he's not going to vote against his interests in trying to take down the deep state, trying to downsize the government. So we will see. I will say this: if you find out that your local representative or your senator is voting against these key issues, then get ready to primary them. Get ready to kick them to the curb, hit the road, Jack, because we got things to get done, baby. But that's it, guys. That is all that I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that it wasn't too overwhelming. I don't think that it was. I think it was pretty straightforward, actually. And if you were afraid of Trump, hopefully this eased your mind a little bit. But it probably just made it worse because you probably can't hear anything that man says with a clear head. It probably all goes in one ear. Somehow in your head turns into Hitler and then out the other one. So That's your problem, not mine. I did my job. I will talk to you guys all next Monday. Make sure you are subscribed and give this video a thumbs up. Bye!